record. All right, great. Welcome to the Society and Environment major info session. Since you've all already introduced yourselves, I'm going to just go ahead and get started with our land acknowledgement. So we recognize that Berkeley sits on the territory of the Huichin, the ancestral and unceded land of the Chochenyo Ohlone, the successors of the historic and sovereign Varana Band of Alameda County. A little bit about me. I am Katie Owensby. I am your undergraduate major advisor for the Society and Environment major. I was born and raised in Southern California. I went to University of Redlands, a small liberal arts school in Southern California, and I came up to the Bay Area to get my master's from the University of San Francisco shortly after I graduated. I enjoy cake decorating, a hobby that started quickly after I had kids. I had a goal. I just wanted to make all of their birthday cakes. And so that's what I do twice a year. I make their birthday cakes, and here and there I do some others. I also enjoy reading, swimming, hiking, and cooking new recipes and spending time with them. I have 2 golden retrievers. They're my best friends in the whole world, and I'm concerned about leaving them at home now that I've been here with them for 18 plus months. So they'll be okay. Maybe they'll come to the office. They've already come one time, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, so that's enough about me. I want to introduce you to our peer advising leaders who are on today, and they're going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about themselves.
Thank you, Katie. Hi, everyone. I'm Ananya. I use the she series for pronouns. I'm a rising senior at Berkeley, majoring in society and environment and pursuing a simultaneous degree in data science in LNS and minoring in public policy. I'm also from SoCal, from Cerritos, and I enjoy hiking. There's a lot of great places in Berkeley, and playing tennis and reading and just being involved on campus. And I'll pass it to Ryan.
Yeah, hello everybody. My name is Ryan. I use the he series. I'm also a rising senior and also pursuing a simultaneous degree, this time in political economy. I am originally from Texas, so being in California is very welcoming. I'm glad to be back here for the fall semester. And among other things I do here, I also play tennis like Ananya. Sometimes watch things, obviously. I'm trying to think of some else. But yes. Oh, awesome. Great to hear. From Dallas too, in Texas, if that matters. But
oh my God.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I'll hand it off to Justin too.
Hi, everyone. I'm the third pal who's also a society and environment major. My name is Justin Hogenauer. I use him as pronouns. And if the theme wasn't apparent already, I am also a simultaneous degree major. So not that that's like an expectation on anyone's standards. It just happened to be how our paths ended up. My other major is business administration in the Haas School of Business. So it's an interesting intersection between the two. I enjoy it, and that's why I do it. I'm originally from Cerritos, California, and our fun fact between me and Nanya is we went to the same high school, and so we've been friends for and it has continued to flourish as it has. Some things that I do, I stay active in ROTC, so I'm part of the Air Force branch there, and gosh, when I have free time, I don't have a whole lot because I'm an RA, so that's one thing that's kind of unique about how my schedule goes about. But when I have free time, I like to travel around. I just came back for a camping trip, so I highly recommend folks who have a car or access to getting around the Bay Area to do so. We're in a beautiful place, and I think there's a lot of amazing outdoor opportunities out there. That's me.
Great. Thank you all so much. I did not know that you went to the same high school as Ananya, and that you're both from, I did not know that all this time. Well, how exciting for you two. Yeah, and so with that, I'm going to go ahead and cover the agenda for today. So we are going to review S&E advising, what that looks like, how you can get in touch with me, how can you expect to interact with me, student responsibilities. These are the things that you need to know, what you are required to know as a student about your requirements at the university level, the college level, and the major level. In addition to that, we'll overview graduation requirements, the APR, which is your academic progress report, as well as some other reporting options for you. We'll go over some basic program planning, and then I'll cover some resources, and at the end we'll have some Q&A. So again, as we go through this presentation, please type your questions, anything at all, in the chat, and we're going to be copying those questions over to a separate document where we'll review them at the end with you. We'll go over all the questions, and if you still find that you have more questions after this is over, reach out to me personally, or go see the peer advisors and we'll talk about how you can get in touch with them, okay? All right. So this is the Society and Environment major, and this is advising with me, okay? So you can schedule an appointment using the Calendly link here, or send me an email with specific questions. We can always go back and forth through email over things if you don't have time to find an appointment with me. You can also come to my drop-in hours. I have them pretty regularly, several times a week, less so in the summer, but more so during the school year. So check that weekly. This calendar is updated every week, and even on Sunday, sometimes there are some updates to the week ahead. If somebody gets sick or a schedule change, the meetings get thrown at us sometimes, and so when that happens too, we have to shift things around. So do make sure that you know what that looks like. I generally don't change those the day of unless it's an illness, so you can count on me for that. And this is what the advisor availability calendar looks like. This is an old snapshot of it from last year's presentation, but now we have added a section at the top of this where it has our peer advisors availability as well. So you can save this, click on it, bookmark it, and refer to it whenever you need to. And you can find when Ananya, specifically Ryan, as well as Justin, will be in those hours, in those drop-in hours. All right. So student responsibilities. The Society and Environment major. I'm sorry, oh yeah, sorry, I got out of that, the wrong slide. Okay, the handbook and policies. This is a really important thing for you to read thoroughly. Please, Ananya is going to put the links in the chat, so please do take some time before the school year gets crazy and read up on the CNR handbook so that you can make sure that you are familiar with those policies, and ask questions if you have any about them. There's a lot of information out there, both at all the university websites as well as our website. Some of the information you're going to see is conflicting. So if you need clarification, please do reach out. Don't ever assume that policy for letters and sciences is the same as it is in our college. We have a lot of very different policies. Sometimes we do try to align with them, or they try to align with us, but it is kind of it's not the norm. Let's just say it's the exception. So the other thing that you should be responsible for is checking your email, checking the S&E living document, checking the RCNR announcements. This is an email that will come from Ask CNR, and that is put out by Craig Crossley. He is our intake coordinator, who you will meet in the Student Resource Center in Mulford Hall. He's fantastic, and he takes a list of all the really important things that come to us every week from all over campus, Career Center, you name it, all the information that might be relevant to CNR students, he compiles into an email and sends out to you. He also has created a virtual bulletin board, and this bulletin board is chock full of opportunities such as internship, research opportunities. Sometimes there's even jobs in there, work study jobs. So check it out and see what resonates with you. Another thing that I want to impress upon you is please use your BCal calendar to stay organized. Anything that you need to remember, deadlines that come to you through these announcements, make sure to put in your calendar so that you are aware of when that drop deadline is, what happens if you miss that deadline. Those are things that are all student responsibilities too. And then finally, see me if you have any challenges or any celebrations, things that you want to talk about. I want to know about. Let me know about those internships so that I can make sure that you're getting units for it, or we can talk through how things can become jobs later. But if you need clarification on things that you don't understand along the way, please come see me. That's why I'm here, okay? All right. We have time for a quick poll, so I want to throw this out there real quick just to see how clear you are at this point about the requirements that you need to complete your degree. So do not stress if you do not know the answer to this, but we will go over it, and by the end you will probably have all of it down. So how clear are you about the requirements you need to complete your S&E degree? 1, I have no idea what the requirements are or how to satisfy them. 2, things are pretty murky. 3, I'm somewhere in the middle. 4, I nearly understand but need some clarification. Or 5, I totally get it. Let me launch this poll so you guys can answer. There you go. All right. Great. That skews very closely to how it did for the incoming freshmen. So about somewhere in the middle and nearly understand. So good. All right. So let us break down these requirements now. Okay. I'm going to take you through the requirements you need to fill to graduate, and note that the requirements are all outlined on the S&E major snapshot. There's a tool in Cal Central, that's what I had mentioned a little bit ago, the APR, and this is how you can track these requirements. In addition to that, I have created a spreadsheet for all of you, and that includes your transfer coursework, any exams that you've taken, coursework you're already enrolled in, and we're going to use it to track degree progress as we go. I have not shared them with any of you yet, but I will in a few weeks. I want to make sure that I get all of your information out of Cal Central that has been uploaded to this date and make sure that I update those, and then I'll share them with you, okay? Remember to post your questions in the chat. All right, so you need at least 120 units to graduate. So how do you fill that? Well, some of these units might transfer over from AP or IB scores, or come entirely over from community college coursework. The rest of these units are filled with units here at Cal. These are your university requirements, your major requirements, and your college requirements. And note that it may take until mid-October or even late October for any exams that you've taken, or even some of those transfer courses, to upload into your transfer credit report, okay? But once it's there, you will see a little link on your front page of your Cal Central My Academics where you can see what is actually being evaluated for you. So now let's take a look at the unit requirements. So like I said, you need 120 total units to graduate. This is a compilation of both the lower division and the upper division coursework. Lower division courses are defined by courses that have the 1 through 99 numbering after them. Upper division courses are anything from 100 through 199. Above the 199 are graduate level courses. Okay, we don't really deal with those. Sometimes those courses can be approved for a minor if you want. There's a petition process. We can talk about that at some point later, but generally these 200 and above we don't deal with. Let's see, so examples of lower division courses would be the 2 SBUM course that most of you need to take, since you're coming in with community college coursework and a combination of other things. You're going to need to take that SBUM Environmental Science core and that SBUM Social Science core in order to graduate. So those are lower division courses. That is like the SBUM 15 or the SBUM 50 AC. And as you note, those course numbers are between 1 and 99. So upper division courses are designated as the 100, like I said, through 199. Course examples of those are SBUM 155 AC, SBUM 102D. So these are courses for the major, but they are above the 100 mark. So you need at least 36 upper division units to graduate. This is a college requirement. These courses include S&E requirements, so it can include your area of concentration courses, but it can also include courses that you're taking for minors, or if you're pursuing a double major. All of those units that are upper division go towards this 36 upper division units mark, and will help you reach it, okay? It breaks down a little bit further than that. So then from those 36, we want 15 to be within our college, okay? So many of the courses on the snapshot, we have an approved elective list. We have many courses in our college that will count towards this. So for example, NVCon courses, that is a department within our college. Those units will count towards your RCNR units, along with SBM, even NS. So if you're taking any nutritional science courses, those are units within our college. So, so it's really pretty easy to achieve, especially when you're incorporating some of those approved electives. But then specifically for the S&E major, we want to make sure that, well, first, yes, you take them all for a letter grade, but 12 of those 15 units are actual SBM units. And we'll get to that in just a second. Okay, so university requirements, for the most part, most of you have satisfied most of these before you got here. Entry-level writing, American histories and institution, those requirements are mostly met before you're here. Some of you might have a special circumstance where you haven't met that yet, and we'll be talking about that individually. The only requirement that you may not have met yet is this American cultures requirement. There are very few community colleges that offer courses that will satisfy this for us. So I'm usually surprised when I see it, but it does happen. So if that is you, let me know and we'll take a look at that down the road once your transfer credit report has been populated and we can actually see which courses you took for that, okay? So all students, including international students, must satisfy this specific requirement. It must be completed before you graduate, and many departments around campus offer this. So for example, there are ethnic studies courses that have that AC after them. Those will count to satisfy this American cultures requirement. Other courses like SBM 155 AC, that is a course that we allow for the major. It actually is a course that could be used towards US environmental policy and management or justice and sustainability. Because that course number has that AC after it, it will automatically overlap and satisfy that American cultures requirement at the same time as satisfying one of your area of concentration. So the other thing you need to know is you have 4 semesters to complete your degree requirements. And you can learn more about the university requirements from our website. And we're going to have one of our, I think Ananya is going to post those links in the chat if she hasn't already. All right, sorry, college requirements. So reading and comprehension, this is a college requirement, and most of you, I am sure, have already satisfied this with either IGETC or articulated coursework. But I just want to make sure you know that if you have not, then we have already talked about how you're going to have to satisfy that right off the bat, okay? Again, must be completed with a letter grade and should be completed prior to coming. There are some special circumstances that have not allowed for that over this last year though. Okay, so we're going to briefly touch on lower division coursework because I know that most of you are coming in with these taken care of either through IGETC or some UC reciprocity. But the general courses that we need as breaths and lower division courses are these right here: the reading and comp, the SBM environmental science core, the social science core, the lower div math or stats, the lower div econ, the SBS breath, the international studies breath, the physical sciences breath, the arts and lit historical studies and philosophy and values breath, and then the biological sciences breath. The one thing I will say about this arts and lit historical studies and philosophy and values breath is that in our college, we have the 5 breath area of study, whereas in letters and science, that particular breath is separated out into 3. So students must take a specific course to satisfy each one. In our college, we combine it. So one class from either of those 3 areas will satisfy that. Mostly all you'll have to worry about is the environmental science core and the social science core, as most of you have already taken these. Okay, so now this is what the S&E lower division SBM core requirement looks like. These courses are listed on the snapshot. This is actually an image of the snapshot. And these are the only courses that do satisfy those requirements. So when you're looking to satisfy those, make sure you pick one of those. And then again, always take it for a letter grade. Okay, so course planning for upper division coursework. Like I said earlier, we require 15 upper division units, and these must be taken in the Rausser College of Natural Resources, of which 12 of those 15 units must be from the ESPM department. There are a lot of options for those. I do want to say that most of the ESPM courses they're more heavily offered in the spring terms than the fall, just general rule of thumb. The last year has been really weird, so that's kind of changed that pattern a little bit. So this coming spring, I'm hoping that that is the case, since I know this fall it was a little bit tough to find some classes for some of you all. You need 7 courses from the area of concentration requirement and one course, the 8th course is this environmental or political economics requirement, okay? We used to have a requirement up until I think spring 2020 was the last semester that we required the capstone course, but that is no longer a requirement. I added it here and then scratched it out just so that you could see that it was a requirement, because there may be some documents out in the world that are still living, some dead links or alive links that might refer to this capstone requirement. And I want to make sure that you know that it was one point a requirement and is not now. Okay, so we have one more poll. And this one is, which statement is true? Okay, I'm going to launch it. Which of these statements is true? American cultures and an upper division requirement can overlap. I have satisfied all lower division requirements with the exception of the ESPM cores if I have IGETC. I can study abroad as a transfer student. I have 4 semesters to complete my degree, or all of the above. Great. You all said all of the above. Great job. That is correct. All right. So, all right, if the snapshot has not been added, would you add that to the chat? I want to make sure that you guys can all follow along with this. This is important for you. Okay. Students should follow the guidelines outlined here on this slide for selecting area of concentration courses. Students select a total of 7 courses from the areas of concentration by 1 selecting one of the ESPM courses in the primary area of concentration of your choice, and then 2 selecting 3 additional courses from that same area of concentration. These can be a combination of the ESPM core courses and a combination of the non-ESPM approved elective courses. So within your own area of concentration, you will have 4, and then we need an additional 3 courses to complete the area of concentration requirement. And these courses, you need to make sure that you have 1 course from each of the areas of concentration. So you'll select an additional 3, either ESPM or non-ESPM, as long as you're still meeting that 12 ESPM units, right? So you have to have a total of 3 ESPM courses, but just make sure that you have these next 3 can be either ESPM or non-ESPM, and at least 1 course from each of the 2 other concentrations outside your primary. So within yours, remember 4, and then you'll take 1 from the other 2, just to make sure you have representation from each of the areas. And then we'll have a 7th course where you can take it from any of the 3 that you want, okay? Oftentimes students really like their own area of concentration, so they'll take that other course there, but really you can do whatever you want with it. And again, I wanna say that you do not have to declare your area of concentration with me. It can change as you go through the program. If you write a program plan and you at one point think justice and sustainability is the path for you, but then you start taking courses over in US environmental policy and management, and you're really liking that, it is okay. You'll see that there are some classes on the snapshot that will work for either or. So here's an example, 155 AC, SBM 155 AC could work for US environmental policy and management or justice and sustainability, not both though, okay? So, so if you find that you're liking this one over here better, US environmental policy and management, then just take more classes there. It's pretty flexible. And I think that our student pals can tell you a little bit more about how that process went for them if you're interested in asking them specific questions. And then this final 8th course is the environmental political economics requirement. That requirement can only be satisfied by classes. I'm so sorry. Hang on. Can only be satisfied by classes right here on the snapshot. We do have a petition process though that can allow you to petition up to 2 classes that are not listed as S&E curricular choices. So if you find a course out there in letters and science that you think is absolutely relevant to the S&E curriculum and you want to take it, send an appointment with me, send an email. We can talk about having a petition to have that course count towards your major. Okay, now you may have up to 2. A lot of students tend to like to use those study abroad courses, or they use the petitions towards study abroad courses to try to get those courses to count towards the major, and that works a lot of the time. I want to say like 90% of the time, those are great ways to get those classes approved for the major. Okay. I think that's everything. Oh yes, all major requirements must be taken for a letter grade and passed with a C- or better. The only exception for that is if the class is only offered for pass, no pass, okay? And then remember that in Rausser College, as a transfer, you have 4 semesters to complete your degree. Additional semesters are only granted for really exceptional circumstances. And we can talk about that if something like that happens to one of you. We can talk about what that process looks like. Okay, so how do you fill all of these requirements in 4 semesters? Program planning. All right, so this is a very general view of what program planning should look like. If you don't have IGETC, you may be required to complete a little bit more coursework than other students. But in general, if you're just doing your 2 SBOM course, then you need to do your 7 area of concentration coursework and your 1 environmental poly econ. It gives you some room in your schedule to try to figure out whether you can add a minor or another degree. And if you do add a 2nd degree to your program plan, you get 5 semesters to complete if you want. You don't have to take it, but you can. And you can also utilize your summers. And a lot of students decide to do that, but again, you don't have to. It's just because we have 3 pals here who have simultaneous degrees does not mean that you have to. But there is a lot of flexibility with this major if you want to, okay? Okay, so this is a little bit more of a specific example of how you can choose your area of concentration. So I wanted to show this to you because I think sometimes it can be confusing for students to know what all those classes are supposed to look like. So we'll review it together. As you can see, this student selected the global environmental politics area of concentration as their primary area of concentration. They fulfilled the remaining criteria for selecting area of concentration classes by taking 2 classes from the justice and sustainability concentration, as well as 1 from the US environmental policy and management area of concentration. This gives them a total of 7 classes, 4 of which are in the global environmental politics area of concentration. They chose to use up to 2 GEP, so that's global environmental politics, 2 GEP courses from the SBOM approved list, and their remaining 2 classes are from the approved elective course list. They have a minimum of 12 SBOM units. Those are classes from the SBOM course list represented. And they have selected classes from each of the 3 areas of concentration. They have also identified a course for their environmental political economics requirement. So as I mentioned, in Rausser College, you're allowed 4 semesters to complete your degree, but you're allowed up to 5 if you're doing 2 degrees. You do not get extra semesters for minors. So you just need to work out how you can fit that in. And as you can see, you absolutely can. Most minors probably require about 5 to 6 classes, maybe sometimes 4. Okay. And you can track these requirements and how you've satisfied them in using your academic progress report. And this is what your academic progress report looks like. So if you go to the My Academics page of your Cal Central, down underneath the degree requirements where this red circle oval is, you will see your academic progress report. If you click on that, what it will do is, because you are already declared in the major, it will take your transfer coursework, it will take your current in-progress coursework after the semester is over, it will take those courses that you completed, and it will populate them within this academic progress report and show you what has been satisfied and what has not. The cool thing about this reporting system is there's also another report called the What If report. And so I think that maybe some of you might enjoy this, because what you can do is basically it takes your exact same program plan, right? So you're in society and environment. It gives you an extra field or two. So if you want to run what it might look like if you were to add another degree or even a minor, you can do that. You can select the minor or the other degree and then run the report, and it'll take all that same information and do a what if report. Basically, it's simulating what your requirements would look like if you were to add this other degree program in, okay? Okay, so another way we track your progress is this. It is an S&E progress check. It's an electronic form that I use using your APR. I will fill this in. I give you all only comment access to it. So what I encourage you to do is make a copy of it when I send it to you. And then you can use that as your own draft, right? And we can check back as things change. But if you happen to find something in your APR and it doesn't look right, you were planning to use it for a different requirement. Say you're working towards declaring a minor, but yet you haven't fulfilled the requirements to declare it yet. So you're taking a class and I'm using it in this for a different requirement. You can make a comment in here at soc.env.ugrad at ugrad at soc.env.ugrad at berkeley.edu. Tag me and say, hey, that looks great, but I wanted to use this class for another program. So don't put it towards S&E. Then I'll go ahead and remove it from your APR and it will figure it out later, okay? This is a great tool. It will help us both stay on track and we keep it very updated. I preserve my original copy by being the only author of it. And then you guys can just let me know what you want changed. All right, another poll. What is the minimum number of general upper division units you need to complete? Just give me a second. Oh, I never ended the other one. I'm so sorry. Okay. Now go ahead. Great. Okay, 100%, 36 units. Great job. Next poll. What is the number of units within RCNR that you need to complete? Yep, you got it. 15. Great job. All right. So this next slide is the Society and Environment Major Map. It is one additional student resource that helps students find enrichment opportunities. So you can look at this and you can read about other things that students in the major have done. What is really kind of added some sort of substance to their degree. And if you look at the back page here, it can kind of give you a path, a different sort of outlook on the things that you can do. How can you engage? What can you do to explore your passions? None of these are things you have to do. It's just a little bit of more guidance for what has happened with students who have gone before you, okay? So that is available on our website, but also will be posted in the chat. So you can just refer to that when you get a chance. Oh, and in addition to this, there's a tool, which we'll talk about the Career Center a little bit later, but on their website, they have a tool called What Can I Do with This Major? And you can see it right here on this column to the right. What can I do with this major? So there, I will show you a link to the Career Center and you can go there and just play with that whenever you get a chance, if you have any concerns about it. student resources. Some of the student resources available to you include the Career Center for Jobs, internships, resume critiques, grad school information. You can sign up for Career Mail and tailor your interests. So the Career Center is really going to encourage you all to create handshake accounts for yourself if you haven't already done that. Handshake accounts it's really their way of getting students to register for these events. So if you see through the RCNR announcements site or email that comes out, if you see an event that's going to be put on through the Career Center and you want to attend it, you need to have a handshake account already established. So please go to their website and do that. They can also do advising appointments for you for career options later on. So they're a really great resource and I can't push it enough. So please reach out to them as you find yourself having time. Okay, another student resource are our PALs, our peer advising leaders. They can offer the student perspective and class recommendations, information about major requirements and college policies if I've completely confused you. They can give you tips on navigating our college and the campus altogether, okay? So make sure to reach out to them. You know you can find them on the advisor availability calendar now. Okay, and here is that list of greater resources. I will make sure to send all the slides out later today, so you don't have to take notes or even take pictures of the slides. I'll send them out through the B courses announcements, so make sure to go there and check for them, okay? All right. And this is another great resource for you all. Since you're incoming transfer students, I want to encourage you to check out the Transfer Student Center when you can. Their page is just chock full of so much useful information that's going to help you with your journey. So please do check that out when you get a chance. Enrich your time. There are so many different ways that you can do that while you're here, and some of them are just connecting with other students through these Berkeley Connect courses. Those are those SBUM or nature or any department plus the 98 BC, the BC after it, or the 198 BCs. Those are those Berkeley Connects. Then you also have decals. I noticed that the page of decals is updated and there's some really cool ones. So please do go check those out if you're looking for an extra 1 or 2 units. Also student clubs and orgs. If you were on the student experience panel earlier or you visited that panel earlier, they probably talked a little bit more about this. There's so many ways to get involved as a student, even as a transfer student. I want to encourage you to do that. So go to lead.berkeley.edu and also study abroad. That is an option for you all. You can have a 5th semester here if you study abroad. That's something not everybody knows. So if you're worried about how you can fit all of this in, first, don't, because this major is very doable to do it as well as study abroad. And like I said, you can have up to 2 classes petitioned to count towards your major. And especially if you're looking at programs that are somehow sustainable, sustainability related, environmental, global policy, those courses have a really good shot of getting approved as for the major. So don't hesitate to reach out to me, and also go to Berkeley Study Abroad website and take a look at the different programs that are out there for you. They're so cool. We even have one internally. It's called the Morea program, but that's all on our website. So go look out Rausser College Morea and check out that program. We've actually pre-approved all 5 courses for the spring term that they're going to offer to count towards the S&E major, which is really cool. So students can only use 2 of the 5 courses that they're going to take, because as a college requirement, you can only have 2 petitions, but they're all really awesome and applicable to this major. So I think you'll find that cool too. Okay. So these are the ways that you can connect with us. Society and Environment has a Slack workspace. So send me an email, I'll send you an invitation. You can also connect with us through our Facebook page if you have Facebook, or even Instagram. And then again, I'd love it if you could copy down that tiny URL up there and complete the survey about how Golden Bear orientation has been going for you. We'd love to hear your feedback. And last but not least, we have our time for Q&A. So I'm going to shift gears really quick to the script and see if we have any questions that have come up. And in addition, we can just be real informal about this too, because It's 2:48. We have some time, and there's only a few of you here. So if you want to just unmute and ask questions, we can do that too. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing, and then we can just do this. All right. Any questions?
Yeah, Katie, there were a few on the doc that we could look at. If we
Okay,
want to
great.
talk about those, yeah.
I do see those. So what we're going to do now is let me just ask the questions. And I think that you probably would like to hear from our pals for a change. I've been talking a lot. So, so I'm going to read the questions out and let the pals answer them, okay? All right, so the first question is, do we have to sign up for that email, or are we automatically subscribed by being an S&E student? Well, okay, so I'll answer that one because I don't know if you know that, but yes, as soon as you came in and you were put on our incoming student list, you were added to the distribution for that RCNR announcement. So you should all be getting it. And I'm not sure if it's going out today or tomorrow, but generally it's Monday or Tuesday that they get sent out. Next question, when is a good time to talk about adding a minor or double majoring, and what would be better? I'm gonna let the pals talk about that.
Yeah, I could start with this one, and Ananya, if you have any advice. So to give you a bit of terminology as well, just because I got caught up in this when I was trying it first. A simultaneous degree, which is what me and Anya and Justin have, that is essentially a double major, but with a second major in another college, for example, LNS. A double major in CNR terms is having another major within CNR, to give you kind of an idea. So if you're interested in some of the other majors that are here, that would be considered a double major, just so that way Katie doesn't get tripped up whenever you're talking about it. In regards to timelines for it, I would definitely suggest that you start as early as you can. It's harder as you have less time to get the amount of classes that you need for different majors. Some of them are a lot longer than S&E or require a lot of different things. So starting out early is definitely a good thing. In terms of whether or not to pursue double majors or minors, it really just depends on how much time you have to complete everything, as well as what interests you the most. There's some minors out there that are very interesting and are very quick to complete also. So yes, I'd say it really depends on your interests and your availability, but it is definitely not a bad thing to start thinking about it now. I don't know if you had any thoughts, and then yeah.
I think that was a really comprehensive overview. And just one quick thing is, depending on what requirements maybe you'd fulfilled prior to coming to Berkeley, it might make some majors or minors more feasible than others. So if it follows along a track that maybe you had been pursuing prior, it might be relatively easy to add in a minor. Let's say if you were interested in conservation and resource studies as a minor, and you had done a few environmental science related courses before, but a few minors or majors at Berkeley can be quite time and requirement intensive. So for instance, if you wanted to add, let's say, a computer science minor, depending on what previous requirements you fulfilled, that might be easier or more difficult. So if you have an interest in a specific area, I think now is definitely a great time to start planning and see if it fits in with your semester count here.
Yeah, those are really great points. Sometimes you can use some of those lower division courses to satisfy if there is a prereq for a minor, you can do that. So it's always a good idea to take a look at assist and see what might translate over. All right. Why does it say 5 terms on my Cal Central? Do I have 4 or 5 semesters? That is a good question. It is really strange. Cal Central does that for every incoming transfer student. It says that as though you've already had the first 4 semesters here, is telling us that this is your 5th. So basically your junior status. Doesn't mean you were here all the times, right? The semesters before, but you are a junior status. That is what that is telling us. I would love it if they could figure out a better way to put that on there. But I think that the main reason is that they don't want it to look any different from any other student, because you're not. So that's just my thinking. I'm not sure if that's why, but it is like that for everybody. Next question, is it possible to change majors as a transfer? I think, again, this is another question for me, not the pals. Maybe you have some insights into it as well, but let me address my concerns of changing majors as a transfer once we've already started the fall terms, is that there often are many prereqs that you have to take in order to declare another major. And when you are only allowed 4 semesters, that is basically the time that you need to complete that work. And that is, you know, it's hard to complete requirements, prereqs for another degree when you're already approved for one specific major. That means that we look at you pretty holistically, and we want to make sure that you've satisfied the bulk of everything that you need to for this major coming in, so you can just hit the ground running. So if you're wanting to change majors, especially if it's a biological science, that's going to be a little harder. You're going to have to take like those Chem 1A, 1AL, 3A, 3AL, if it's pre-health kind of related, or biological science. Often I'll have students who might be interested in the EAP major. And if they told me that during GBA, we've tried to make that shift, but oftentimes we'll take a look at the student and say, yeah, no, they're not ready at this point to do it. So you can try to stay as SME and work simultaneously towards another degree. And then if you don't fulfill those requirements, drop the other degree later. But in general, it is hard to make a switch, because you'll be staying in SME, and we want you and require you to make progress towards this degree. While you're trying to do prereqs for another degree, it might be really challenging because you have such limited time and you're not granted any additional time because you want to change your major. Okay, anything else anybody else wants to add?
I'll say one thing. In addition to all of this point, like, it's possible, it's difficult though, also because some of the classes that you need to take, if you don't have them fulfilled beforehand for a new major, like Data 8, for example, which I'm sure everybody will hear about. Like some of those classes are very hard to get into, especially if you don't have the, essentially when you sign up for classes, if you are enrolled in a certain major, you can get specific spots that are reserved for that major. So if you are not already part of or declared for a different major, it's sometimes really difficult to get a hold of those classes that are required. So it's something else that's in the way. If it's something that you're definitely looking out for, I think with enough discussion, it's possible. It definitely will take a lot of planning though.
Yeah, good points. Yeah. Okay, and what is the best way to find study abroad opportunities that work for our major? I'd like to do summer abroad and a full semester abroad. All right, pals, have any of you studied abroad, and what was your experience like with that?
I unfortunately have not studied abroad. I think quite a few people's potential study abroad plans changed with COVID situation, but I know Justin is planning to study abroad in the spring, and maybe he wants to touch on what that process was like.
Yeah, can folks hear me right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so me and study abroad, we have a fun relationship because I think I have applied to study abroad formally twice. I was accepted and approved on my way to go to Singapore, study Chinese and do marine biology research, but that got canceled. Well, suspended was the word they used, but that didn't happen because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And then this upcoming spring, I plan to study abroad at a university in Bangkok called Thammasat, and that's for foreign language study. But to answer the question that was asked, so let me just look at it. The best way to find out about study abroad opportunities is to go to the study abroad office. They have a physical location on campus. Whether or not they will be open, they do have sort of peer advising similar to what the PALs do within RCNR. They have a similar peer advising program. That's a great way to just kind of be exposed to those introductory resources. One of the biggest things that you may already be aware is that you have to do it in advance when it comes to studying abroad. Like, you have to apply practically a year in advance. It's honestly a logistical process that's very much so just like, can it fit? Can you do it? But ourselves and the study abroad office, they're there to support you. And that's how I was able to do it. I mean, I mentioned before, I'm studying 2 majors, and I'm trying to study abroad in my last semester as a senior. And I'm in ROTC, which, to simply put, it's complicated, but it's possible. You just have to be proactive, you need to communicate, you have to engage a lot of stakeholders, and just make sure that you're checking all the boxes. And so, yeah, so you can study abroad in the summer. That's definitely possible. You might have to pay a little bit more in the sense that financial aid isn't as generous in the summer because of just how that budgeting works. And you can do full semester abroad as well. But if you are thinking about that, and then because the demographic is transfers, I'm assuming that'd be from next year. That's something you want to look at like right now, just because of the timing with the year in advance. So all that said, the action item is go to the study abroad office. They have the places that you can go to, the different programs you can study, and the resources that are very specific to kind of getting you along the way.
Yeah. And in addition to that, we have we call it a database, a study abroad database internally through our college. It's so new, we're still adding to it, but we have, gosh, I think we have a couple, 2 or 3 programs for SNE that have already had coursework pre-approved to count towards the major. So I can dig up that website and send it to y'all later, because I don't think I have it listed in my resources now that I'm looking at it. But you can find it on our website to Rausser College Study Abroad, and it would pop up for you. We call it a database. Basically, it's an Excel sheet, and it's not comprehensive. It does not include as much as or anywhere near what the Study Abroad office offers you in terms of information. And remember that you can have up to 2 classes count. So just because they're not on this pre-approved list doesn't mean that they're not going to count. Recently, one study abroad program, we approved a Italy course that was, I think it was called, let's see, what was it called? It was like olive oil, wine, and culture in Italian Riviera or something like that. And it counted, like they approved it. So even though I might not have approved with that one myself, the faculty approved with it. So it was all good. So it's worth checking out. But again, remember that if you don't feel comfortable with these first 4 semesters being one of the ones that you're going to study abroad, think about taking that 5th semester. Finish everything now if you want, and then go abroad in your 5th semester. Kind of celebrate what you've just done here if you want to do it that way. But there are options, and I say, like Justin and the others have said, reach out sooner than later just so that you can plan for it. But it shouldn't stress you out or anything right now, okay? And that was the last question we have. But if anyone has any more, please just go ahead and shout them out.
I was just going to piggyback on what we just talked about, which was my question anyway, and I actually thought about another thing that I was wondering about it, because I like that, and I've heard about it before, like adding that 5th semester at the end. When would be a good time to like apply for that? Because I mean, I know that, just to give you the whole spill, like the plan is for me to go next summer to go abroad, and I went to the study abroad Zoom thing on yesterday or Saturday. I don't know. Every day feels like it's all the same. And so they mentioned that this stuff should be posted by October. So I'm hoping to get that application for the summer out by October, because it's not posted yet for next year. But yeah, for like that 5th semester, like how long in advance would I be applying for that, and where and when and what and all that stuff?
Yeah. So what would be happening is, if you are, if you get approved, say in the spring for your application to study abroad in that summer after, right? Then, you wanted to take it that 5th semester to do it, you can let me know that I've been approved for study abroad. I'm going to need that 5th semester. You can just send me an email. Keep me in the loop with your study abroad advisor, so that, because there'll be paperwork that I need to sign off on and things like that. So I'll already have a sense that you're going abroad, but once it's confirmed and you've been approved, we'll just add that 5th semester in. And that 5th semester is good for UCEAP programs, and even independent study programs, I think. If I'm wrong about that, I'll correct it and I'll let you guys know if I'm wrong. But I do know that UCEAP offers the most flexibility for UC students, and especially in reaching that modified senior residency, which sometimes can be an issue if students study abroad too many times, because you need to have a certain number of units be at Berkeley. But with UCEAP programs, there's a modified sort of senior residency that they do because it is considered a UC program. So those are good ones to look at. And yeah, if anything like that happens, or obviously if you're starting to think about a second degree and you're thinking that you're going to need that 5th semester for that as well, you'll have paperwork that you need me to sign. So it will be, you know, I'll know about it. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Yeah, and we have another question here in the chat from Kate. And she says, to pursue a simultaneous degree in LNS, should we speak with an advisor in that college first? Absolutely. So whenever you're interested in a minor program or another degree program, my recommendation is, yes, go talk to that advisor, see what you need to do to prepare yourself to declare that major, and ask all the questions. You know, what is the minimum GPA? What are the courses you want me to have in order to declare this major? And do I have to apply to the major? Some majors are impacted and you have to apply to them, and there's no guarantee that you're going to get in. Unlike S&E, you know, if you meet the minimum requirements and you have a 3.0 and you're out of college, you're going to get in. It's just as easy as that. But there are majors out there that are not as open as this one. So that's something to be aware of. Always, yes, meet with an advisor first. Ryan, were you going to say something? I thought I saw a hand.
I just went through that process, so I was going to say something very similar. There are forms that you have to have completed, but definitely the first thing that will happen is going to the other advisor for that major, and then they can walk you through that entire lengthy process, because you'll need to go back and forth and whatnot. So they could explain that to you as well through that.
Yeah. And my one tip as an advisor would be, give advisors a little bit of time. Like right now is a really busy time going into the fall. So maybe don't go knocking on advisors and other colleges' door for these sort of informational appointments yet, because they're just trying to get their major students settled in and making sure their class schedules are all jiving. So, you know, just give them a little bit of space, a few weeks to kind of settle in. And then I think absolutely, if you have something in mind, go meet with them. Yeah. Anything else?
I have a question about study abroad also. This may be a dumb question, but do you have to get your passport before you can go to study abroad, or is there a I guess an exception for doing an educational thing where you don't really need your passport?
I'm pretty sure you need a passport, but that would be a question for the study abroad office. You'll get all that information from them. In fact, they probably have an FAQ page where you can look at simple things like that to know what to prepare for in advance of meeting with a study abroad advisor. But yeah, I imagine you have to have all of that in order to go. Yeah. Justin says you definitely need a passport. Yes.
Yeah, just to comment on that, that's just like a general international travel situation. But in the past, there used to be actually a passport center in the RSF. The RSF is the gym on campus. Whether or not that service is being provided, I can't speak to that because it's just been so long since. But look into it though. So it'd just be the passport center at the RSF. I got my paperwork done there. I mean, in full transparency, I just took like a photo in my dorm room, like against a white wall, and it worked out really well. But yeah, if you are thinking about studying abroad, looking into that earlier rather than later is again kind of like the theme, just because it takes a lot of time, and that's one of those things where I don't want anyone to have to like expedite it because that gets expensive and you're just getting it mailed to you a little bit faster. So if you can do it earlier, it'll help. But yeah, good question, because the passport is a big thing to kind of, once you do it, it lasts so long that you never have to think about it again. But that first time doing it is a process.
It is. Great. Well, we're just at time here. So if I'll take one more question, if anyone has anything that they want to, that's on the top of their mind, they want to get out, but otherwise we'll end for now. Okay. And then I will make sure that you all have a copy of this later today, and that we recorded it, so you can have a recording of it as well. I failed to record the freshman session, so I felt a little bad about that. But yes, you guys are all set. So again, you know how to reach me if you have any questions, and I wish you the best fall semester ever, and go Bears.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, you're muted, Katie.
Should we stop the recording?